Hey guys, welcome back to another video in InfoSec Pat. This is video 14 of the Windows Server 2019 training videos. In this video, what we're going to be doing is setting up FTP server on Windows Server 2019. So if you're ready for the video, let's get into it. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back. So this is video 14 of this hands-on Windows Server 2019 video series. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is installing and configuring FTP server on Windows Server 2019. So what is file transfer protocol? Like, what is FTP? FTP is so you can actually have all your data that resides on a server, and you can access this data outside your network. You can upload and download files. It's a pretty cool utility. I actually have an FTP set up on my network. I don't have it in Windows. I have a hard drive plugged into my router, and I have it set up that way. But I'm going to be getting a NAS, a Synology, and that actually set up a little different. But FTP runs over port 21, so the TCP port is 21. But we'll get into a little bit of that. So in this video, we have obviously our domain controller, and we have Win2K19 FTP01. This is the server that we're going to be deploying. We're going to install two roles. On Windows Server 2019, you need to have Iis services. So an FTP server runs on a web server, right? So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be assigning the IP address of 192.168.50.207 with a 24-bit mask. It's going to have 8 gigs of RAM, and we're going to be joining it to our domain. And these are the steps that we're going to be doing. First, I want to be changing the IP address, joining to the domain, rebooting, and actually I have this all double. And then I want to move the FTP server to the OU, because in Active Directory you want to move it to the proper OU, so it's a little cleaner feel in AD. And I want to add the Iis role and create a root, because where all our data is going to be residing for the FTP server, and creating a security group for the FTP users that we want to be able to access our server, because we're not going to have it anonymous, right? You don't want anyone in their mother to access the server, right? You want to have it semi-locked down. And then we're going to, add a new site, right? So that's it. So let's go ahead and bring this over here. And all right, cool deal. So this is our brand new server. Let's just go ahead and start the services like we always do, so we can see green machine. All right, let's refresh this, see if there's a... Is this taking a while? All right, so the local server, this is a brand new machine. Let me actually open up that spreadsheet, the PowerPoint, so I know what I'm naming it, what IP address I want to be giving it. So let's go ahead and go to IPv. We're going to do IPv4. Come on, you can do it. All right, let's give this IP address. We're going to disable IPv6. Double click this. We're going to give it 192.168.50.207. 24-bit mask. This is my router. That's going to be the primary DNS. And our secondary is going to be my router. All right, so we can get out to internet. This should say internet access in a minute on IPv4, bada bing, here we go. All right, so that's that. Let's go ahead and turn this stuff off, because I don't like the Iis security. All right, so let's go ahead and change this computer name and join it to the domain. All right, so hit change. We're going to change this to wwin2k19-ftp01. All right, and the domain is going to be a part of is my infosec pat.local. And then we're going to put our domain credentials so we can authenticate and get this on the domain. And then once this joins, then we'll go ahead and reboot this, and we'll go on the Active Directory server in order to move this server from the computers when it's joined to the domain to the proper OU. And while we're over there, we'll create the security groups, since we're going to be in Active Directory in just a moment. We'll give this another minute. Or two, or maybe three. There it goes. Welcome to the infosec.path.local domain. Cool. And we have it another second. That's fine. It's because I had another computer with that information because I just been whacking machines. So once we come back here, we go to computers, we should see it FTP. All right, so we have a server's OU. Remember we had SVR01, I took that out and I used the same IP address. So it probably just got a little mixed up, but it's all cool, it's gonna work. So we have our FTP server here. We have groups. So I'm gonna create a new security group, okay? And it's a security global group. I wanna name it, what did I say I wanna name it? FTP group, yeah. So I wanna name it FTP-group. Okay, and then in this group, what I want to do, there's no members. I want to go ahead and put user, check name. We should see a couple of users. Let's go to advanced, find. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we should see a few users in here. Where's our users? Hold on, let me make sure. Users, yeah, I see you. Okay, user. Okay, my bad. All right, so let's go back here. Let's go here, members, user, check name. There we go. Let's add all these bad boys. So they all have access to our FTP. All right, so now we're good there. Now we have our group set up. These are the people that are going to be able to access our FTP server. And I might get these questions in the comments or anywhere else. This is locally. If you want to have it outside your network, say for example, you want to access your network from home or outside. All right, say if you want to have this server in your house or in your office, but you want to be able to access those files from the outside world, you have to know something about networking and adding access lists and NAT rules to allow port 21 from your public side. You can use like a dynamic DNS server services like no IP or something like that. If you don't have a static IP at home, then you can statically assign that in your router. For an example, if in this case we have 192.168.50.207, right? That's your private segment. So you put that in your router or in your firewall and you NAT that to the outside world over port 21. So when you come in from the outside world, if my site is FTP-infosec-pat, and then I'm gonna have that pointing to a public IP NATing to this address, which is 192.168.50.207. All right, just in case you guys have any questions about accessing this outside your network and whatever. Obviously, we're not doing any of that in this video. This is strictly just having it set up. But if you want to have that advanced feature and setting it up, this is all locally. Okay, cool deal. So I just wanted to knock that out and get that out of the way. All right, so infosec-path.local, and then administrator, and then my fancy password. And can't believe this is video 14 already. This has been pretty fun. I wonder how many videos it's going to be. I have a few more videos lined up, like DFS, distributed file system, to have. We'll get into that. I don't want to go off topic because I'll go on a rant, and that's no bueno. All right, so now we have our local server, and it's the FTP01. This is our settings. Everything is good to go. So now we're going to go ahead and add roles and features. Okay, so in here, we're going to go to next. It's a role-based and feature-based installation, so we'll hit next. This is the server that we're going to be installing this on. Hit next. Down here, we have IIS. We have to install IIS prior to the FTP. That's just a given. So you have to hit IIS, okay? Hit add features. And then once we go through this, go to next. There's no features needed. Next. This is going to be IIS. This is the default installation, blah, blah, blah. we're going to be installing Iis 10.0, okay? And this is where the fun begins. So in here, down here, you have FTP. So you just click on the FTP server, and then FTP services is automatically chosen, and then you hit next. And then we can hit install. And then we'll give this a minute to install and do its thing, and then we'll continue with the installation. So while this is going, I want to show you a few things. Let's go on to let's move this over here, our client machine. So we have user 1. Let me actually write that over here. I want to write it down so I know what user we're going to be logging in as for our FTP. All right, so what I did behind the scenes, right? Oh snap, that's no bueno, but we'll pick that up later. So what I did in the background, I installed FileZilla. So FileZilla is an FTP client. So in a minute, we're going to be able to put the host name, which is 192.168.50.207, username, which is usual1, and then the password, and then hit connect, and we'll be able to connect to that FTP server. All right. So give me a second. Oh man, look, my AWS certification fell off the wall. I guess AWS, Amazon doesn't like me. So let's just put that there. Sorry guys, sorry for that. I don't like to poke holes in the wall, so I just put it like on these little sticky things. And I've been here 8 months, and this is the second one that fell off. The first one was my CCDP, but sorry. So yeah, so now we have our FTP client. Let's go check on the FTP server. This has been completed. Now we can hit close. And now we can go to Tools, Iis Manager. Okay, so now we have the Iis 10. So if we go down here, we're going to have only one site, which is the default website. So the default website, if we go to a web browser, and if we go to local host, we can see that its Iis is successfully installed. All right, and then you can also run we can run some CMD. You can do netstat-na, and then we can see on here we can have port 80 running. Okay, so that's cool. So and then in a second we're going to see FTP. So we can go ahead and go to sites, right click on sites, we have add FTP site. Okay, and FTP site, we're going to name it. What I'm going to name mine, I have it over there. I have it as ftp-info-sec-path. And then the physical path where we're going to have the data residing is, I think we made it. Let me make sure. I think we did. See. Okay, no, we didn't. All right, so we're going to make this new directory, new folder, and we're going to name it ftp-root. Okay, go in here. This is where I want all my FTP data. So we can paste this here. Okay, hit next. And here is the IP addresses. So we only have one NIC that's binded to this web server. So we have 192.168.50.207, and it's going to run over port 21. That's cool. So down here, we're going to have this website, the FTP site start automatically. If the service restarts or the server restarts, we're going to have that server and service start automatically. All right. SSL, secure socket layer. So we're not going to have any SSL. So we're going to hit no SSL, which obviously if you have this in a real production environment, you want to have an SSL cert, right? And because you're going to have it more secure. So in this case, this is just a lab, and we're not going to use that. So for authentication, anonymous. Anonymous means that you can allow anyone to the site. So if I hit an anonymous, if I go to the 192.168.50.207 and I just hit connect, it's going to allow me in without any username and password. Obviously, that's no bueno, and I'm not doing that. So I'm going to do basic. okay? And allow access to all users, anonymous users, specific roles in user groups, and specific users. In our case, we created that AD group, the FTP group. So we're gonna have group, roles and user groups, and we named it FTP-group, okay? And what permissions do we want? In this case, we want read and write, so we can test it and you can see what's going on. All right, cool. So let's hit finished. Now we have this site ready to go, InfoSec Paths file server. So we can see the authenticated users. Oh, did I add a? Okay. Let me see something really quick. Added permissions, security. Okay. All right, so let me see something. Okay, it's disabled. All right, cool. I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember doing it. So if we go to, let me make sure all this stuff is good. Okay, it's in the default app pool. Okay, perfect. So test connection, everything's good. This is fine for right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and cancel that. So now we are good to go. So now what we're going to do is test it. So now let's go on to FTP, the Windows client. So now if we do the host name 190, well, if I can type 192.168.50.207, and our user is user1, my password, and then quick connect. All right, so here this is just a FileZilla thing. I want to say save password, that's fine. And this is fine. The server does not support FTP over TLS. That's totally cool. All right. And now we are connected. All right. So technically we can make directories. So we're going to test it. All right. So how are we going to test it? We're going to open this bigger. So from our, you know what? Let me actually make this smaller. And let's do a new file, and this is on the Windows 10 box, right? So I want to put win10 user1. This is a test from Windows 10 to the FTP server. All right, so I want to save this. I want to save it, and now I want to go ahead and go to desktop. And I want to actually drag this over here. It's successful. So now if we go back onto the file, the FTP server, we go to, here it is, the FTP root. This is the file, and I want to edit this, right? So I want to say, got it, thanks, Pat. Okay, and now save it because we have read and write. Remember, we chose read and write. So now let's go back to FTP, and I want to download this. Let's download it. I want to actually, that's fine. I want to override it, that's fine. Okay, it's done. If we open this, we see it. Got it. Thanks, Pat. So let's see, what did we do? Let's go over what we just did. Let's bring this over here. So pretty much we added an FTP role. We did the IIS role and the FTP server role. We created a root FTP directory on our FTP server so we can put data in it. Obviously, we can make it prettier if you have users or applications, if IT, HR, however you want to structure your file structure. We created the AD security group for the FTP servers, FTP users, and we tested it from the Windows 10 box to the FTP server. Remember, just one more thing. Remember, this is locally. So if you want to be able to install the server in your house and access this from the outside world, you have to do some networking on your router or your firewall, however you have your network set up. Just remember that. You have to open up ports, do port forwarding. So just remember that. If you have any questions, just hit me up. I can help you out with that if you need help. And there's probably plenty of YouTube videos out there to help you out with that. So I really appreciate it. Sorry that my damn cert fell off the wall. You know, maybe AWS don't like me because they see I'm doing Microsoft stuff. But yeah, awesome. Please like, subscribe, share. It's always been my pleasure to help everyone out. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you.